Alrighty, back to Hanamura here once more, and this is an interesting take on offense here. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but a 3-tank setup with a Zarya, but no Reinhardt from Simplicity. Could be a reality, don't think it will be, but Graviton, sometimes underrated for its ability to bust open on areas like Hanamura, assault maps in general.
Yeah, and it's going to be difficult, especially with the Zarya up against Theresa, because Butcher is 100% going to go with the Theresa, and it looks like Fozix is going to be committing to the Stormbjorn.
He could still jump off. This could very well be a debate.
No, this is actually the point of no return. Yeah, they are committing to this, so they are going to go with it once again. So we'll see. KSF, he has swapped on over to that Widowmaker. As soon as he sees this, he's going to want to change.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to stand Widow here at all. I think he's going to see the Orisa embankment and go, nope. Or perhaps he knows better. Instead, it is going to be as standard does here from Simplicity, a full dive setup where they have to be careful. You can dive into this, but you have to pick your moment. Otherwise, you could die just as quickly.
Yeah, and so the main priority for this is actually going to be to take down Rob. They're going to jump in. There is no trap there, and so they are getting all this damage off, but they need to go after Rob. They need to corner him out. Now, they have gotten, of course, that turret, but it's for the mech.
They lost Zoms really early on here, and the defensive NRG working out. KSF and Retzi, though, are getting kills around the flank. And if they can just get 1 or 2 more, they're going to buy their team more time to get in. And this is actually going quite poorly for NRG, in large part due to the work of this double flanking combo between Retzi and KSF. KSF under assault, going to back out, get healed up once more, and Simplicity has bought themselves a huge 6-on-3 opportunity here, but Ginger Pop, too deep, didn't wait for the rest of his team, still might not cost them the point, but you don't want to make those mistakes either way.
Yeah, they were able to take out Robin. That's who you need to take out in this composition. You don't want any more healing left. Fozix will just send himself off the ledge there, and they'll give away the point, but I liked Simplicity's approach to it. It looked like they knew the Torbjorn was coming, because when that dive came out, generally, there is a Junkrat trap that you have to worry about, right? It's normally right on top of the turret. Instead, Simplicity dove around the turret. They avoided it completely. They didn't get caught out, and so they were able to pick them apart eventually, because the respawn distance does favor the offense.
They didn't have to worry about the turret too much in the end, and now Simplicity going to be moving in with a huge edge right now. This is their window of opportunity to set a blazingly fast time and rewrite the destiny of this series. KSF almost has a Dragon Blade. He's going to want to support that with the Transcendence. Roger moves in, Transcendence Blade. KSF has one, looking for Damon, slices him down in the back, and 2 quick kills from Simplicity set the stage, and yet it's Smex and Damon striking on the back as Simplicity moves in. They've lost their overwhelming advantage. They're gonna lose Zoms here in a moment, and it's all going the wrong way. NRG respawns are coming in, and Damon, he's gonna pop the tac visor just to be sure.
Just to be sure, indeed, KSF even stuck in the middle of no man's land here. Tries to give his life away. Tries to go for the flashy deflect. Almost got Damon, but of course, the respawn distance now. The shoe's on the other foot. NRG, it favors the defense here. And so, that's actually very crucial that they were able to deflect that attack, because Fozix had just swapped off, right? He was on Torbjorn, he went over to Lucio, and then he went over to Zenyatta when they got into point B, so now he's getting ever closer to that Transcendence. It's KSF, he's at 60% towards his blade.
The interesting thing is that KSF's staying on the Genji. Oftentimes he will go Soldier. Oh, DPS too far out, couldn't Primal Rage in time. I don't know if he's still having net issues or what, but that just takes the wind out of Simplicity's sails, and it could have been a good one. Retzi had caught Fozix while that was going on. If DPS lived, that's an entirely different fight.
Entirely different fight indeed. Buying even more time now. Rob, along with Fozix, getting closer to their ultimates. Stratus has a blade here, so I'm thinking it's probably going to be a nano blade coming out from NRG to finish this out.
Well, NRG has multiple ways to fish this out. Remember, when you're in the defense, you only need one ult to really strike deeply to just ruin the other attack. DPS almost gets picked up early, but this time the Primal Rage comes in time. You have the blade out to the back from Stratus. Gets KSF in the Genji v Genji showdown. There will be no blade for Simplicity. They're down their prime mover here early in this fight. And now they can stay in here. It's a rough concept, especially down KSF, and oh my word, they get Butcher and they invest in Transcendence 5-on-5. KSF won't be back here for a while, but if they can just delay for a little bit longer, you're gonna see KSF come back in with a blade of his own. If they can stay alive. They've lost 2, and KSF, I don't know if it's a good idea to burn a blade here. He's back into the fight. You probably should save it. Transcendence out from Fozix. have Zombs that got 2, but you still gotta save this. You are far too outgunned.
Yeah, he's stuck in their spawn now. Fozik's able to take out his pupil there in the Genji. So NRG, even though they do expel a lot there, they use both support ultimates along with that Primal Rage. They are able to hold on for now, and it was that really nano-boosted Smex on the D.Va who was able to dish out so much damage onto DPS and chase down the tanks that allowed them to stabilize now. But still, now they have to deal with KSF, but they have been playing very passively with their support. They have been so far back. We'll see if KSF can get back there.
Simplicity taking an awful long time to set up right now. They took a lot of poke damage on their entry. It bought NRG about another 20 seconds. KSF's gonna be moving in, and he knows he has a window here because the Transcendence came in late from Fozix, probably wasn't needed. Retzi poking to the back. Low, but not out. Simplicity just struggling to get the high ground. KSF looking for the right moment to drop the play, but look at the poke damage war right now. Simplicity is getting pummeled. Early DMEC, all by Stratus, picking up 2, 3! Oh my word, that snowballed quickly, and NRG easily takes the fight. And this is problematic because KSF probably wants to swap off the Genji and can't while he has the blade.
Simplicity just took way too long. They were poking and prodding. KSF wasn't getting his heals. That entire time he had his blade, he was sitting at about 50% HP, while Stratus was just laying down those shurikens over and again, building up his blade now. So NRG, they're going to be able to stabilize your Simplicity. They're starting to run out of steam. There's 2 minutes and 30 seconds left.
Simplicity not with a whole lot of time, which means that if KSF is finally able to use his blade, where again, you don't want to swap off a hero when you have blade, it feels very bad, but sometimes it's the right call. Simplicity hasn't been able to get into a good dominant position. And you see the dive coming in from NRG on the side, looking for a pickoff. They force the Primal Rage on, Retzi strikes! NRG went too deep, they lose both tanks. Now, it's time for Simplicity to strike. Off the 2 kills, KSF has a blade that now can be a finishing blade. He's held onto it for so long. The Transcendence gonna be coming out here from Fozix, buying NRG a little bit of time. They're trying to isolate Zombs, still in it on his mech, and Simplicity actually struggling to hold in here. They've gotten thrown really far off the point. It's a late blade from KSF. He's gonna be using it mostly in D.Va, chases it down, but she's nano boosted. It's still enough to demech her, but he used everything for it, and yet it's still gonna work out. KSF picks up 2, gonna be focusing out Fozix, and Simplicity has brought the way back into this fight.
Yeah, but they've only secured 1 tick so far. It's gonna be a second one before NRG come back in for the contest. KSF just trying to play bouncer. He's got Retzi there. No one is able to make it onto the point from the NRG squad. And so Simplicity, even though they stumbled, even though they struggled, they're able to complete it out with 1 minute and 28 seconds left in their time bank.
I mean, I'm just glad Simplicity was able to capitalize on the gift given to them by NRG. It's not every day that you have both tanks suicide themselves on the left flank far off the point.
Yep.
I understand being aggressive and disrupting pushes, but that call made by NRG there was way too aggressive for how you have to defend on Hanamura. Again, if it works out, we're saying, okay, their aggressiveness caught them off guard, but they were doing so well at that point. Simplicity was in shambles. They weren't finding a time to get good blades off. It's up to them to prove things to you. You shouldn't be in terror of their offense to the point that you feel it necessary to just challenge them in that awkward, hard to defend position.
Well, what Butcher saw was that he could actually corner out Wunjae Lee and force out the Transcendence. Primal for a Transcendence, I'll take that trade any day. But at that point, once you got the Trance out, you needed to back away. Instead, Butcher and Smex got caught. They were body blocked, it looked like. And then, of course, Retzi was there with the Pulse Bomb to take out both tanks. It was just that easy for them. And then, of course, from there, DPS just transitioned perfectly with his own Primal Rage to get on top of the support line of NRG. From there, it just went all downhill.
Stratus had at least 16 cups of coffee in the last minute. He is humming. He is changing space-time right now. Oh my word.
Yeah, he hasn't found that right vibration that, you know, to resonate with the wall and be able to pass through it quite yet. Yeah.
Right now, I imagine Stratus is making the sound in real life that Lucio makes when a Winston is hitting him with the Tesla cannon. Well, like that's what's going on right now.
He's Fry on 299 cups of coffee. He needs that one more, though. So we'll see if he can get it. Now, NRG, they're going to be going out with a triple DPS composition of their own. Butcher on the Hanzo. We'll see if he swaps off. He will go over to the Winston. It's just typical dive coming out from NRG. Simplicity answering it in kind, but Ginger Pop is, of course, on that Ana for the defense.
And Simplicity, they want to defend this for a long time. Oh my word, what a focus down Stratus. Wunjae Lee from downtown, and that will be delaying NRG all the more.
Yeah, that was a pretty easy setup for both Gingerpop and 1J Lee, but Zombs, he gets too aggressive. He's going to get demeched here by Smex now, and so that allows NRG to start pushing forward. Zombs has fallen.
NRG looking for their way in, and right, once you lose the D.Va, as we've seen, it's very hard to control space. Zombs won't be back for a while. Oh, KSF, the equalizer, shurikens out of nowhere. That's exactly what Simplicity needed.
Yeah, there was the window to have a 5v6 fight. They were waiting for Rob to get back into this now. They're still going to try and aggress, but Butcher, without you know, his D.Va was on the point that entire time. He didn't have the defense matrix. Butcher goes down now. They're just bleeding bodies. NRG, you just have to reset. Get out.
Support your Winstons. Don't let them dive in alone. Oh my word, Specs is going to get staggered here. And the problem for NRG is that they still have people on the point. I don't think the alarm has been set. Resets, get out of there. Do not get staggered anymore. And I think we're finally seeing that as Rob floats himself off the edge.
So 2 minutes and 30 seconds now left for NRG, but they're coming up onto a huge bank of ultimates. It's going to be old apocalypse between NRG and Simplicity here. We'll see. KSF is at 88% towards his blade. Maybe if he can just land these shurikens quicker, he'll be able to just engage upon before the Transcendence is up.
You got to give time for the barrier to come up here. Early Transcendence from NRG. Phozix is going to get the barrier in time here, or Willie. 99, now he has it, but they lose Butcher. Butcher was able to primal rage. You got to rage out in time. Barrier in from Phozix as this goes on, and it's Smex and Damon isolating in the back, still making the best of it here, and they're able to deal with the early loss of Butcher. It does not matter, and in fact, it might be working out for them because now they get the primal rage as they go in the last.
Yeah, and Zombs, he was just so close to being able to stay alive. He almost had that self-destruct, which would have been another way to get back into his mech, but also he was really low. 1J pops that Transcendence way too late. Well, it was maybe a second too late to try and keep Zombs alive. It could have been a difference maker here, but now NRG, they're moving on to point B. They've got 5 minutes and 30 seconds.
This is a one run and done for Stratus here on point B. He's going to use Dragon Blade. After he uses Blade, if they don't have the point, he is going Soldier. He does not stay on it, but sometimes you can get this with just the Genji. They've already put Simplicity into a corner. They're in a rough spot. The bomb out from Damon does not connect, but Gingerpop was caught. Here comes Stratus. Blade moving in, taking advantage of the chaos that Butcher is sown, and Butcher leading the way, protecting Stratus all the while. It makes it a huge play, and NRG might be making this on their very first point B push.
Yeah, they haven't given him a tick yet, so they do have some time to be able to try and regroup as 4, at least maybe even 5. But here we go. Primal Rage was used. Jump comes in. There's the Transcendence out from Simplicity. Try to keep this live. KSF now with the blade, but the Transcendence is out for Rob. Keep them all topped off.
KSF unable to get anything with this blade. A timely Transcendence runes day, and there's the Baron just in time! Rob was about to get bursted down! He saved instead, at least for a while. They had to put all their focus on him for far longer. NRG still working with a good amount here. Now Phozix had to back out. He was about to get bursted down. NRG's working with 5. Damon cannot die here. Gets KSF on the margins. 14 HP remaining. NRG coming back in. It's only Phozix that can heal him. And Butcher, you gotta press Q, man! He had Primal Rage. He stayed up a little bit longer, and in the end, Simplicity is going to turn this back the other way.
Turn it back away just in the nick of time, but still, NRG, they were able to secure 2 ticks there and force out a lot of ultimates. So no Transcendence online for Simplicity. Gingerpop will have that sound barrier, but now you're dealing with, of course, the Primal Rage Butcher along with the blade out from Stratus. So you just have to be just on point with this boop, does Gingerpop, but even then, Butcher's going to be able to be unrelenting with the pressure with the Primal Rage.
I mean, we are assuming that he's going to use Primal Rage. At that point, this is a large assumption. We cannot rely on Rob, picked off very early on in this fight. Simplicity with a nice dive from the top, and KSF getting to work once more. Stratus going, okay, I'm going to go to work. Nope, you're going to get sliced right down. The effective Stratus blade being limited to nothing. Butcher did activate Primal Rage in the middle of it, but it was in the middle of a losing fight, so it's not really good for NRG here, and they're gonna have to reset.
And now Stratus is gonna make that swap off onto the Soldier 76. They need that consistent damage from the high ground. We'll see if Simplicity allow them to have that now. Gingerpop has swapped off onto Ana after using that sound barrier. And so we'll see. Stratus, well, actually all of our Soldier 76s have been really good about building up their ultimates so far. Retzi, even when he was on Numbani, was building up those tactical visors real quick now. High ground being contested.
High ground under contest. Stratus in a bind. Retzi from the back blows up Phozix, but Damon strikes it the same. It's 5v5. Stratus pushed back a little bit. as this is going on, you see Retzi cleaving tank after tank. But now, on the other end, Stratus is in a good position here. He can lay in damage, start building up the attack visor, but it's not going to matter. Both tanks are down, and this is where, I don't care what you're doing, Stratus, even if you finish that kill, you got to start backing off because you are one of the last people. You don't want to give up anything for free. And yet, you have to respect this a little bit moving in. You don't want to overextend on the Stress, so he can still get a little bit of ult here.
Yeah, even though he was trying to build up that ultimate, that just meant that Ginger Pop is going to be able to top off DPS. He's going to have, of course, the Nano ready. KSF, he's sitting at 83%. They can pop it onto him early. He can go in for a dash and a melee, and he'll basically have his blade ready. So now the Nano has come on out.
Nano boost in on this fight early on from Ginger Pop, and off the distraction, Rob falls very early. Butcher going to be evening it out, going the other way in the Wanja, but unfortunately the carnage continues back the other end. Retzi making use of the chaos, and NRG once more looking at a reset, and Strauss will get one attempt at the stack though.
Yep, he's at 91% now. And so we'll see Simplicity. They have been proactive here on their defense, making sure that NRG haven't been able to set up whatsoever. Now Damon on the flanks, he's got this pulse bomb, but is instantly forced to recall as Retzi was there to check him.
Meanwhile, think about how this delays the rest of NRG, right? Because your Tracer's going, I don't have rewind, you have to wait longer than they would. Retzi went for the bomb attempt. Is he gonna get picked off? He went awfully deep. He's still under fire, gets out in time. The bomb is not connected. NRG with an opportunity. Transcendence out early, stuffs KSF, stops him getting what he wants. Attack visor's out in from Stratus. It's a nice reaction of ults from NRG. 3 unanswered kills, 4. This is the push that NRG was waiting for, and they're gonna even things up for going to extra rounds.
And it was just under a minute, and so Simplicity, they only get about 7 seconds added onto their clock, so that is a little bit of a difference, right? A minute 35 to a minute, that could be an extra push coming out here onto point A. Now we'll see. NRG, they started off on the offense, running that the regular dive, the vanilla dive, but they were very tentative with it, and so we saw Stratus actually get caught out. He was the first member to fall. We'll see if he decides to play that indecisive. He can't just lurk around. He can't just, you know, use the wall climb to try and spot out the members of Simplicity. If you stick around too long, Ginger Pop and Wunjae Lee will pop you down.
And really, it's anyone's game here at this point between the two. Both teams had pretty good defenses moving in. I do think there are opportunities for NRG that kind of fell by the wayside just because they weren't quite able to use ultimates in the right moment. But the final push was quite good, where you had Rob use the Transcendence at the perfect time to deny KSF, and then Fozzik just had Barrier come up right after. They were able to just use everything and what can only be described as the near perfect counter engage.
Yeah, Rob has been stellar all series long, in the face of Sombras, in the face of...
Yes! Continue running,
Genji's.
Stratus!
Yeah. You just need to get that 300th cup now. Butcher's trying to get in on this, but sorry, the cyber agility is better in your younger brother.
You know, I can see Shimada Brothers Coffee being a hipster coffee up in Seattle. Makes sense to me.
They have enough coffee up there,
It's
really.
free trade.
Yeah. All right, and so now it is, of course, the regular dive. Butcher is going to catch up with them just shortly with that Winston now. Simplicity, of course, running the exact same defense here. Damon already popped twice, and KSF is there. Oh, Ginger Pop, ever so deadly on the granny sniper.
My word. Well, that's going to be a quick reset here from NRG, and NRG only gets one more attempt.
One more attempt, 30 seconds left now, so they got to be careful. Luckily, the fight ended so quickly, Ginger Pop wasn't able to build up that much ultimate, but he can feasibly get the nano boost in this fight.
All right, NRG again, looking for the tanks on the side as Damon gets popped again! Early focus on the Damon, unable to get anything going here. And NRG, they don't have time to wait for Damon. They have to make this work 5 on 6. Stress gonna heal up real quick. Now, you gotta go. Stress up on the window, not gonna get immediately taken down like his counterpart Damon. NRG moving into the point. They have to dive on, they have to touch it, but they lose both supports in the back. NRG, no lifeline whatsoever. Smacks on a hope and a prayer here with Butcher. There will be no heals. Retzi is on the prowl. And this is going to be a hold for Simplicity, and it's a hold with no ticks given.
Yeah, some nano boost coming out onto Retzi. I believe that was like his 3rd throughout this. And it's interesting to see because not a lot of teams actually try to run that nano boosted Tracer, but Retzi, he's been on point so far with this Tracer, so it has worked out for them now. But you have to remember, it's a minute 35 seconds left. There is still a possibility that NRG can get the draw, and if they get the draw, that's the series win for them. So Simplicity, they absolutely need this push.
So NRG with multiple paths to victory, as it were, here. And, oh, really? I don't know about this. This did not work out the first time. Remember that they just need to buy time here. And Simplicity already saw this once. Now, I don't know if we're just heading into double fake territory where it's just sort of like, surely you wouldn't run the Torbjorn a second time. And of course, NRG goes, well, because you think we wouldn't do that, we're now going to do this. I don't know if we've headed into some sort of like crazy Yomi mind game madness, but if you go off of the first attack, this was not very successful for NRG. And yes, that is the flag of Carpe, the traditional flag when rooting for the Philadelphia Fusion.
Yeah, definitely for NRG there. Is it that case where, oh, I know you know what I'm going to run, so I'm going to try and counter your counter with my counter? No, instead they're just going to be running that Torbjorn once again, but Simplicity dealt with it almost perfectly on their first go-around. KSF, he's going to just try and spot out any kind of shenanigans out from the NRG Esports squad, but I think they know what's in store for them. Sonic Arrow was used, and he does swap off onto the Genji. They have the time to scout this out, and they have already spotted out the Torbjorn.
Well, the Torb is well known, and in Simplicity, they're just going to go with what they did before. They have no reason to change. They're going, everyone good? Everyone good? All right, here we go. Dive in and evict Torbjorn from his place. It's a very quick dive coming in, and they assassinate Torbjorn in the moment. Now looking for Butcher. Butcher super low. Retzi unable to deal with the shield placement. Cut out! NRG able to hold this time around, and they get another go in it.
Yeah, that time around, NRG did a better job of actually keeping their forces consolidated beforehand. They all kind of just scattered in different directions, which is what allowed Retzi and KSF on their initial push to pick them apart. That time around, everyone supported Rob. They went back into that mega room. They were able to get topped off and not picked off now. So NRG just one more hold away from drawing this out and then getting, of course, a series victory.
NRG under pressure. Strauss is the one who's getting dived, and he's out of there. It's Retzi, backed by Wanja, able to do the damage. A 2-0 edge for Simplicity. NRG, they must throw their bodies on the point here. They have very little to give. Down they go. Strauss is going to emergency Doomfist, but I got news for you. He might not get there in time. It's Retzi and KSF destroying the back line. A great attack with a better fall through, and this series still very much a contest as Simplicity takes map number 3.
Towards the end of that, we saw Orisa with some really superior shielding. Like that's why NRG failed that very first push. Or sorry, that's why Simplicity failed the first push against NRG in that last point. Where do you see Orisa's usefulness being exhausted when it comes to this particular map in Hanamura?
Well, I mean, you run the Orisa because you want to fortify a turret or thereabouts, right? The problem is that sometimes the Orisa can get bursted down, the shield, and then you just move in and you get the targets behind. Or sometimes the shield just isn't the best spot, and you have someone like Retzi who's able to wrap around and just kill the people that you're trying to protect in the first place. What happened on that first attack is that you saw the Torbjorn just able to dance in between the shield in such a way, a shield that was not broken, to sort of give Retzi the slip, but he wasn't able to do that a second time.
Yeah, but we saw it get broken because, well, as the main tank, as Orisa, and as how stationary she is, you have to play around her, and you have to make sure your forces are grouped around her. What did we see there? Well, the Ana was off by herself on the left, while the Orisa was all the way on the right, along with the Diva. They were just completely set, like, in different places. They were not set up for that defense at all. They were just all out of position on the defense. And so that's what happened. They just got picked off because they didn't play as a unit. When you play around an Orisa, you all need to be together.
Speaking of positioning, we've got some really awesome footage here. This is Retzi on Tracer, just absolutely being exactly where he needed to be at all times.
Look, Retzi was a constant force in the backline. It's also been a stronger showing from KSF here today, where I think in the last series it was more the Retzi show. KSF has shown up in equal parts and then some, and it's off the flanks that Simplicity has made their money more so than any other position right now.
We saw Fazix go for that Torbjorn twice. Where, you laugh, CP, yes. Why are you laughing?
Well, I'm just laughing because, I mean, it's a little bit unconventional, and it's also the case where oftentimes you run it not because it's outright strong, but you run it because it's going to catch teams off guard. And when you run it the first time and it just doesn't work, it takes a certain degree of gumption to go, no, we're going to run this again. I don't think it was necessarily the absolute best choice, given the fact that they had no real reason to believe that they would have a stronger defense the second time around.
And Simplicity just handled it really well. I mean, you saw on their dive, usually, when we saw it, run up against Fusion University, what happened? Genji would dash in, but he dashed in at such an angle where he would get caught in a trap. But Simplicity, when they were going in for their dive, KSF and Retzi, they found the perfect angle along with DPS just jumping over all the traps, and they were avoiding it. And so they just handled it absolutely perfectly.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the case there is that Who Are You is definitely more of an outright playmaker where, look, to use a phrase that's now been beaten into the ground, and I don't want to use it too much, he's not a coward, but sometimes you don't want to dive face first into a Torbjorn turret. It's not always the best play because, look, that turret, it's not going to miss.
All right, well, our fourth map is up, and we are going to be going to Junkertown. Now, this is Simplicity's chance to make this a reverse sweep, or at the very least, force it to 5 maps. And given kind of the difference between NRG and Simplicity in map differential in this series, this could be a big deal for them.
Well, I think the reason why you're seeing NRG bring in here is that they're probably more confident in their double sniper setup than Simplicity is, where I think it's pretty clear we're going to be seeing Stratus on the Hanzo, backed up by Damon on the Widowmaker, and both are fairly competent in those roles. Meanwhile, even though we'll almost certainly be seeing Retzi on the Widowmaker, KSF, Hanzo, more hit and miss. So it doesn't really surprise me that we're going the Junkertown in this case. I don't think it's necessarily a large edge to either team, but I can sort of understand some of the reasoning as to why NRG would go, yeah, we're going to bring it here.
Well, maybe they think that at this point Simplicity might actually run Zoms on the Widowmaker because we did see that during Numbani, and so, you know, maybe they're expecting that they go for the triple DPS route while foregoing the Diva, and they think they can take advantage of that. There's a lot of things that can actually happen in this matchup.
I am totally fine with Zoms playing Widowmaker. I think he is a fine Widow. He has done well in Overwatch competition in the past. I do not think it is worth putting Zoms on Widowmaker if it means you don't have a Diva. Do not repeat that, Simplicity, please.
This is a map that we've seen kind of over and over have very specific setups between, like you see a lot of, like you guys call it the pirate ship. We see that a lot in Junkertown. Where do you see the, where do you see NRG being able to, I guess, pierce through that? Because we see a lot of flank play from them, and like you said, we see a lot of Widowmaker play from them.
Well, one great way to break it is just to have sheer raw damage. So Smex, he can go over onto, of course, the Roadhog. And so when you have a damage-boosted Widow along with a Roadhog just shelling away at that shield, that Orisa, she's not going to be able to set up on the cart.
Yeah, I mean, you have two options dealing with the pirate ship, right? You either brute force it where you just have raw damage, break the shield, go in, or you deal with great flanking play, or at times you just win the sniper battle and then you get an early advantage. Your sniper that won ends up flanking and you just sort of pick it apart. I think in NRG's case, they have a decent chance of winning the sniper battle outright, particularly when the offense, and they can keep their own ship going. On the defense, I think it's less clear because that goes into more of a Damon v. Retzi situation. I'm not sure I really give either a huge edge over the other, so I feel like that could go either way.
So you feel that Damon and Retzi are kind of equally matched?
We'll see. I think any given day, I have no reason to think that one is dramatically better than the other, especially when it comes to Widowmaker. But obviously, if one team suddenly pulls ahead and their Widow is winning, that puts you in a really rough spot, as it does in any map in Overwatch where you're relying on a Widowmaker to kind of bring you over the point.
No, yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. At this point, we haven't seen that much Widowmaker coming out from NRG today. We have seen it out from Simplicity, not much from Retzi at all. It was actually mostly Zoms. So we'll see if Retzi is going to be actually alive and awake on it. It's both of these snipers coming in, if it is Retzi running it, and they're going to be starting off pretty cold. So it can be difficult to just start off on the Widowmaker as cold.
Yeah, we saw a lot of play from Retzi actually on Widowmaker. I believe, I want to say it was last week. It was last week and the week before, because we keep seeing him kind of going in between McCree and Widow for his two kind of off-pick DPS choices, and we actually have some replay from it. They were just telling me this is really where we started to see him get respected by the other team when he was kind of going up against Fusion. And Fusion being a little bit, I think, shocked that they were getting regulated the way they were by him.
No, Retzi was just having a great series throughout this, even though it was a 3-2 loss to Fusion University.
Also, I'm not sure Fusion was too surprised at the end. I mean, you can talk with Arrow, who's the coach of Fusion University, and Retzi is just one of the most respected players, especially within the Tier 2 scene. I think many people consider him a case of a borderline player that probably could have gotten the OWL if the cards had been slightly different. Certainly, I think he's better on Trace than some of the people that are in OWL right now. So, I mean, Retzi, he's a good player. It's been known for a long time, and it's a known quantity that you always have to prepare for, especially when you go up against a team like Simplicity.
We talk a lot about Retzi, and we haven't really talked much about. I mean, KSF, like you said, he's been doing a lot better this week and made a much stronger showing. We're going to get into game, but as we get into game, talk a little bit about what we see in their support team and who's backing up Retzi and KSF.
When you look at who's backing up Retzi and KSF, you have Ginger Pop, who, for those who don't know, beyond the Skirt series, well known as the good old Arc 6 support, goes way back. At one point, teammates with XQC way back in the day, kind of took a long, long break from Overwatch, and now decided, actually, I do still want to play this game, and rejoin Simplicity that way.
Yeah, and you know, even his, I guess, Far Mercy partner Za is also here in Contenders, so it's great to see a lot of names coming back, finding their spots here now for the defense for NRG. So Smex is going to be going over to that Roadhog. Stratus is on the Junkrat. Damon will be picking up the Widowmaker here to face off against Retzi.
And this is pretty much what we expected, right? Where we've seen just about every team, I think with the exception of maybe bye week, 1 week, run this Widow Hanzo setup. And Retzi has a good beat here on the Widow. The Scatter Arrow, or sorry, the Sonic Arrow gave him location. Wasn't able to quite finish off the headshot. And now the question is just how aggressive does NRG be here? You have to worry about both sniper threats. And for now, they're giving up a lot of room.
Yeah, there's just so many threats on the side of Simplicity because they are running that triple tank composition. Solo support is just Ginger Pop on that Mercy right now. Retzi gets challenged, gets taken out. Damon tags him twice, but it's the headshot that finishes him off.
Well, both your snipers are gone. There's no reason to worry about pickoffs. NRG is free to move forward and try and stagger this a little bit more. You see DPS going, okay, I'm just going to raise the shield here, back up a bit. Meanwhile, Specs just poking and probably going, hey, can I get a mature hook here? Yeah, maybe you could.
All right, so since Ginger Pop is the solo support, of course he is going to be one of the first people to build up his ultimate. He will have the Valkyrie into this next fight. He's already sitting at 82%, but the Infrasight coming out from Damon. Going to slow them just a little bit here. They wait out the duration of it. Hook comes in, Smex falls.
And that's a big swing in the matchup because he was hooked in such a way that you're not really going to be able to res him. It would be incredibly gutsy if Posix was able to move in and res that. That's the power of hook. It puts you out of position for those situations. Retzi almost picking off Damon in the moment. But here we could have the equalizer. Stratus, nope, it's not an equalizer at all. Retzi punctures the tire from afar. But Wanjali has fallen. Smex is going to be back in the fight soon. NRG able to withstand here for a while, and even though Wanj is being brought back up, they gave themselves time to get reinforcements. Unfortunately, Butcher falls in the situation. NRG once more fighting from the back foot.
Yeah, Butcher has fallen without that shield. There's almost no cover. Now Smex does get the DMEC onto Zoms, but still they have DPS there. They have the barrier. They have so much damage mitigation. It's going to be difficult for NRG. Now they're going to be pushing forward. Do have the Transcendence out from NRG.
The turnabout here, both snipers striking blood for Simplicity, and that is going to be more than enough to bring them over. And the tragic part there from NRG is that Rob used that Transcendence right towards the end of the fight. He didn't really realize that both people had just been sniped out a second before the call was made, and oh my goodness, that was close. He got him!
Oh.
Is Damon disconnected? He was just
Retzi just had the smallest of angles there. He tried to hit it a few times, and he ultimately did now. With a pickoff onto Stratus.
Believe it or not, the standing still meta is not actually something we have to worry about. I guess Damon is still here, otherwise we would have had a pause, but that's unfortunate for Damon in the moment where he's delayed a little bit more. Simplicity has to wait even longer. I see Retzi looking for a pickoff here. His Infrasight very much up. It's up on both ends, so everyone's seeing everyone right now. And NRG, at some point they gotta commit to stop this, and here's the tire to try that. The tire coming around the outskirts, looking, and while this going on, Damon picks up two. The tire was merely a distraction.
No one expects the Widowmaker just push forward with that tire. No, it's great because Simplicity, they do have to respect it, right? And in doing so, well, they forget that the Widowmaker is there. Damon just charges forward. He's got the damage boost of Phosix to do whatever he wants now, but still. Now that threat's off the field, and we're seeing some swap-offs coming out from Simplicity because, well, they can't continue to run that solo support. They need the extra damage. They need the, of course, the Orb of Discord out from 1J Lee to try and deal with someone like Smex, to deal with someone like Butcher. So, now they're going full dive.
Now, the thing is, it's going to be a while until they have DPS ults to back this up. They're going to open with the Valkyrie. It's pretty aggressive. It's just a raw dive backed up by support. And look at Smex uses the whole hog. KSF not in a good position to deflect. His deflect was used a little bit earlier, so Smex able to make space, and yet Simplicity over the top. Zombs takes down 2. They were unable to move in time, and the threat is not yet abated. Simplicity exploding their way to victory.
And that was great because NRG had also used, of course, their Valkyrie into that fight. Now Ginger Pop will ultimately fall, but still, now NRG, it's just not quite enough. They will have another opportunity unless Damon gets caught out here. DPS, dropped down low, 10 HP. He went over aggressive.
Greed, pure greed. DPS far too far out, and now NRG's coming back in. Rob can transcend, and Simplicity, they actually want no part of this. They gave up a good opportunity there because they just got too aggressive.
Yeah, having lost Ginger Pop actually did make a huge difference there. So, don't count them out yet. NRG are still here to hold on. Simplicity, though, they've got 1 minute and 49 seconds to try and finish this out. Rob, once again, with another Transcendence.
Meanwhile, KSF very close to getting a blade, but Specs found Retzi. Retzi's going on the flank and got a hook to the mouth as a reward. NRG with 2 early easy kills. KSF doesn't even have time to contemplate the blade.
Not at all. Stratus having also swapped over himself. So the Genji now has already built himself up 67% towards that blade, getting some great poke off onto Zombs. Now, with Retzi having swapped over to that Tracer, we've seen him crack open holes for the team before. We'll see if he can land this pulse bomb for his team.
Well, he needs to make Rob use a Transcendence, right? The goal here, set up KSF, put KSF in a good spot, and in fact, Wanda has to transcend first, and KSF is picked off! Damon threading the needle. He might get blown up here, but the damage has certainly been done. Simplicity working for a way to fight this back. They're trying to invest more. They have the self-destruct on the point. Doesn't really connect to much of anything. Zom's gonna get demeched as soon as he remechs here, and NRG gets to hold strong as Stratus rips apart the backline. My word, there's cleanup, and then there's that. Stratus making his presence known.
That blade was a little unnecessary, though, because they knew that Zombs had already used his self-destruct just to get back onto his mech. His team had left him alone on the cart. They could have just gotten the Diva kill and saved that blade. They might have wanted it, especially because it's coming down to the last fight. Luckily, though, Simplicity ran out of gas now. They've only got KSF to rely upon. He's got this blade.
I think relying on KSF is pretty good. Oh, David again! Found Wanja early on. KSF, are you a hero or are you a 0? Your team is down 1. It's not 3 a.m. Retzi gets hooked, gets out in time. KSF chunked down, deflection onto the hog. He's gonna grab the health pack and come back in. Now's his time to shine. Diva in his face, blade out, looking for Lucio and gets Tinnitus instead. Shocked right to the core, and this is gonna be a hold coming out from NRG in the middle of Junkertown.
Yeah, they're even to go for a victory sound barrier there, and so NRG putting a stop to Simplicity just short of second. Now they can just go ahead and slate this series away, get the 3rd map win, walk away the victors, and move up in the standings, move into that 4th position, getting closer to locking themselves in to the playoffs.
It's going to require a Herculean hold here from Simplicity to somehow turn the tables on their own fate. Look, we've seen it happen. You think back to the Taipei Heroes Rumble, Hong Kong Attitude, able to hold here. We sometimes see first point holds even in the Tier 2 scene. It's just, it's rare on Junkertown because the offense is working with such an advantage.
Yep, and we'll see what NRG run for their offense right now. They are already hovering over the double sniper composition, possibly Rob going over to the Sombra. And you know what? That's another threat that you have to worry about. You have 4 modes of just getting a pick off on the offensive squad here. Simplicity, they have to be careful. This is going to be such a difficult hold for them.
It is, but can we just take 10 seconds to talk about the huge economic disparities between Hollywood and Junkertown in the future? And even though I go to California, the license plate is I'm rich. You see the license plate there? Tinny. This is just absolutely terrible. How is it that Hollywood is so much richer than the bowels of the Outback?
They got nuked, ZP. Don't you listen to the lore? This is like, this is the aftermath of a nuke. These are just the remnants of the Australian society.
Yeah, but I've also been in LA recently. No, I'm not sure what the difference is.
They didn't even get nuked. They nuked themselves to get rid of the Omnics.
It's true.
Yeah. The Aussies, they are scrappers.
Well, when you really don't want robots in your backyard, I suppose, and hey, it might be the same in Kings Row. Either way, we are getting into it here. NRG on the attack, and Stratus, are you making your robot dreams come true? The nuke missed one. Or maybe not. It's just the Hanzo after.
All right, so he is going to go over to that Hanzo now. Damon just he knows they're just on the opposite end, peeking that angle. It's going to be Stratus able to get the Orisa, and of course, on the retreat, finding Ginger Pop. So already, huge momentum build-up for NRG.
Step 1, kill Orisa. Step 2, res Orisa. Step 3, wait, your Mercy is already dead. That could not have been a rougher opening here for Simplicity. Retzi gonna away from the hook as Widow in his sights. Meanwhile, KSF is down, and we do have Zombs on the Widowmaker, where again, let's just note here that Simplicity is doing the thing that we told them not to do. They're not running the D.Va. We have gone this area again, and NRG still has so much room to work with here.
They still have a lot of room to work with here. Now, they did, of course, lose their Widowmaker, so right now they're just respecting Zombs as much as Smex will, but he's still going to try and go for the hooks. Oh, Zombs connects onto Stratus here, but he is behind the wall. They can go for the res if they want to, but it looks like they're prioritizing just keeping the Widowmaker damage boosted.
The problem here is that NRG has very strong presence here on the payload, even after that early pickup. You see NRG coming back in. Damon finds KSF. And how is Simplicity challenging NRG here? You're not running the double tank. You can't disrupt. Damon has all the time to just shoot 2, 3 people in a row. You know what's helpful here? You know what hero works? You know, this tiny little unknown Korean mech pilot. Oh yeah, Zom's a swap to her now after losing point A.
Who? No, I mean, at this point, like, they're trying their best. Simplicity, Retzi's trying his best to pressure Damon. He's been right there the entire time. Damon, he actually hasn't even been batting an eye to the pressure that Tracer has been putting onto him. He's actually just allowing him to just try and kill him. You're not going to be able to unless you hit every single headshot. RNG really has to favor you there. Damon is just getting these headshots, and he's completely nonplussed about it.
NRG, plenty of time to work with here. 4 minutes and 20 seconds. Rob holding on to the EMP, looking for the opportunity in the moment, and oh, Retzi rifle butted to the gut. 3 unanswered kills from NRG, and the pain keeps on happening. They might not even have to drop the EMP, but do anyways. Gets Wanja in the back. Clean double kill moving in, and a dragon for good measure. NRG setting a speed run here against Simplicity to take the series.
All right, so Simplicity had a chance. They unfortunately did not make it, and you are attributing a lot of that to their failure to play D.Va yet again.
I just, how many times does this have to fail miserably on the defense? And again, Zombs is getting pickoffs, but then you look at what they do after the pickoffs, like, do you want to challenge a payload? Nah. And then you just see NRG going, okay, cool.
And yeah, the thing is, it just favors really the team that's running the double sniper composition. If you have the Hanzo and you have the Widowmaker, one pickoff just snowballs into a second, into a third. And without that D.Va there, you know, that D.Va does have the windows with the defense matrix where she can stop it. But without a D.Va, well, that's what happens.
Well, the other thing, too, is that you also, to a degree, it's like neglecting how people get opportunities in Overwatch, right? Where it's not just the DPS playing out of their minds. DPS gets opportunities because your tanks put people in bad positions. They dive in such a way that your Tracer only has to finish off maybe 75% of the health instead of a full setup. When you put that much pressure on the DPS, they're not getting the help they normally do. It's not as effective, and it's why triple DPS setups have generally not worked out super well in recent times, with a few rare exceptions.
Now, we saw a lot of excellent play from Damon on that Widowmaker, and it was honestly a matter of his team making space for him, whereas in Simplicity's case, Zom's team was not quite as good at that.
I mean, you just saw right there, Damon, he knew that Retzi was in the back, and he was just getting tagged, and he was okay, because I have a Mercy pocket. You're not going to be able to kill me. You need to have like absolute perfect RNG on your headshots on your spread, or I'm just going to survive, and you're just actually feeding my Mercy at this point. So Damon wasn't scared at all, and he was just able to just stare everyone else in the eyes and say, I'm going to headshot you, and then I'm going to headshot you.
Yeah. And one thing that's, I think, worth knowing the rant there is that we have seen teams get away with Orisa Hog, right? It's still a second tank, and it's still a beefy threat that can walk up and contest the point. So there are times where you don't need the D.Va, but you would still like to have at least a hog there or something. There just was no meat on the ground.
Yeah, there was nothing really there to absorb any damage. We do have our Old Spice player of the match, and I think it's probably not very surprising that it's going to Stratus.
Yep, Stratus got his highlight clip here. In the time match, it's like, you don't know if you really need the blade, and actually, that is fair criticism. But you know what needed that blade? His own personal highlight reel.
Yeah, I was about to
That
say,
needed the
sometimes
blade.
you don't need it, you just want it. And that was I think was that a quadra kill that he got off of that? That was
I believe
instant.
so.
Yeah.
I mean, his Genji play was actually really good throughout the series. Seeing it on Hanamura, there were some really cool techs that he did that we don't get to see as often because a lot of times Genjis are just like straight up the gut. But when he was going up against KSF, he was just winning out those duels because he was just technically better, proficient at that moment. There was a moment where he just lands a shuriken, gets a dash, and instantly goes for the blade because he knows he's got the confirm and he's going to be able to dash into the rest of the team afterwards. It was beautiful play actually coming out from him.
Well, not only that, but KSF wasn't really getting the support from his team that you saw Stratus getting from his team. Like, you didn't see a lot of the same backup that he was getting.
Yeah, KSF, there were a lot of moments, particularly on Hanamura, even though they ultimately ended up winning that round, where he was kind of left to just wait around for his blade. There were moments where he could have gone in, but he needed his team to heal him first, and he wasn't getting those heals.
Well, that's the key thing at Genji too, is that you have a blade, like great, that's step one, you can pull out the blade. The second step is that you need your tanks to go in the right time, and the third step is don't get chunked before you want to bring out the blade, because it's like, well, do you go in with the blade at 100 HP? Probably not. I mean, the only person that's kind of historically made that work more often than Shadowburn, but even then, it's a risky gambit.
All right, well, congratulations to NRG for securing that series. We are going to go on a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to have even more action between Bye Week and Fusion University. Stay tuned.